Welcome back to 1010's podcast. My name is Michael Beck, and I have Handsome Rob with me today.
No Adam today.
No Adam today. Adam has a family, and he's off doing family things.
This whole grown-up crap, I'm not
Yeah.
into it. I feel bad for him. He's taking care of things. He's responsible and stuff.
But we have good news, because sitting in for Adam, we have Jos Chohan.
Dang it,
you got that right.
He said it right.
Finally.
Well, now what's my last name?
Veerhout.
Damn it.
Wow,
he's learning. He's learning.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time. So, Jos, how are you?
I'm all right. Thanks very much, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. We're very glad to have you here today.
Thanks very much. I'm excited to be here.
It seems very professional because we seem like, we knew Adam was going to be gone. So let's bring in somebody else to stand in for him. Not at all true. This is a complete
Total coincidence.
last second switcheroo that happened here. So Jos was planning on coming in to do an interview, and then Adam, as sometimes happens when you have a newborn, somebody gets sick, somebody's got to watch the kid, so that's where Adam is today. So we will be harassing him and making fun of him, and there's nothing he can do about it because he's not on the podcast.
Yeah, prepare for next week to be nothing but rebuttals. It's going to be Adam on here ripping us apart because of everything we've said for probably the next hour and a half.
I'm glad to be on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
Absolutely. This is working out well.
Oh, yeah.
So before we jump into starting our interview with Jos, we have to do our social media stuff. So you can find us at 1010's Podcast, basically everywhere. That's the number 10, 10's Podcast on our Twitter, and then 1010's Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and Car Throttle, and .com.
Yes.
Is that all of them?
I think that's all of them.
No Snapchat.
Nope, not yet.
Thomas said we should get a Snapchat. Hey, Thomas, if you're listening, what's going on? I haven't been able to talk Adam into it, so I apologize because he's still afraid of people sending us dick pics. So,
We could just screenshot it and post it online and be like, served you right.
It's 10/10ths of a dick.
You weren't there for that.
No,
Thomas,
I was gone this weekend.
Thomas suggested, and I won't say who Thomas works for because I don't know that he really wants me talking about it on the podcast, but they don't have a Snapchat. No, they do have a Snapchat. And what he said is we should have a race to see who can get a dick pic first.
Why would that be fun?
I don't know, because nobody wins.
But at the
Because if you lose, if you win, you lose. And if you lose, you win. If you don't get a dick pic, you win.
It's such a jackass thing to do, and I hate how much I love it. I think it's funny.
The first thing that came out of Adam's mouth is, we totally win that.
And that's why he doesn't want a Snapchat.
How would he win that?
I don't know, but Adam thinks that we would get a dick pic before them, and they have a way bigger following than we do.
Oh, dude.
Sorry for the odd vagueness, but just the story was funny, so.
I like it.
So find us on iTunes and Shout Engine, and of course, if you're on iTunes, please rate us.
We read them.
Yeah, actually write us a review. We definitely read them. We definitely appreciate it. And as we've said before, that helps us move up in the ranking, helps us be more legit. And when you actually search car in iTunes, we might actually come up as opposed to the other bullshit that turns up there. So we would appreciate it if you'd write us a review. Jos,
Yes, sir.
what's happening, man?
Oh, same old, same old. Work, 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 as Rihanna says.
Yeah. So as a way of introduction, I met you through... I'm pretty sure I met you through... No, that's not true. I did not meet you through IA Nation.
I think it was just a random car meet that we threw up on Facebook that was set up to go at Lowe's or something.
No, that's not even how we met. So we met at the car wash.
Oh, yeah.
We did. Remember, we met at the car wash, and I was there with my Camaro, and you were in the other stall when you had the CLS 550.
Yes.
And we were both washing our cars. We both backed them up to vacuum them. And I looked at you, and I said, is that a CLS 550? And you said, nobody fucking realizes this is a 550 because you had it debadged.
That is true. Now I remember that. I thought we met at that car meet, but no, you are right. At the car wash.
Yeah, you said that everybody calls that a 500, but it was a 550.
Yep. You always got called a 500.
I
no
never
idea
would
why.
have known.
Nobody knows
I
the
know
difference,
nothing.
and that's why I debadged it on purpose.
Nice.
Now, I couldn't get away with it being an AMG. That was unfortunate, but...
So I have a confession to make. I didn't remember that they made a 500, so I just said it's a 550, and I don't know the difference between the two.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, that's fair enough. At least you got it right in the first place. I'm glad you admitted that you're...
3 years later, I'm admitting.
Right, exactly. The fact that you didn't know you were actually right may as well never have told me.
Yeah.
But, no, the 500 was made, I think it was 05 to 06. Those 2 years, both those production years, they had a 5-litre V8 in them, and the 550 had a 5.5 litre from 07 to, I think it was 2011. They actually stopped the production of that one.
Oh, so they didn't run those in tandem then? That was
No.
It just was what it was.
No, because when they replaced the 55 AMGs, which had the 5.5 supercharged in them,
Yeah.
well, 5.4 if you want to get technical like Mercedes, but still.
Mercedes likes to lie about their displacements.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, they do.
We'll up it a little bit.
Yeah, because all those 6.3 liter AMG cars, none of those are 6.3s.
Not anymore. Not anymore. So they're all 6.2, 4, 5, something. And it's ridiculous.
Lies.
They
It's all
just
lies.
round up.
They round
exactly.
up.
And nowadays they're 63. But I've noticed all manufacturers are doing that. Mercedes, BMW, they've all got stupid numbers on the back of the car that have no reference to the displacement anymore because they're all using turbochargers.
Yeah, so the new, I think the new C63 AMG is a 4 liter.
Is it? It's 4 or 4.4 turbocharged though.
Yeah, but
why?
Yeah, and BMW does it too. None of their 35, 335. None of those are 3.5 liters.
Nope.
The problem is they're Germans, which aren't typically known to be liars like the Italians, but they don't want to admit that you can't. So one year you come out with let's say a C300. The next year you come out with a C200. Now the 200 is probably a 2 liter turbocharged inline 4, and it probably makes more power and is more efficient than the old 3 liter V6 that you had. But to them, it's a step down because people are all about badges and numbers and all. So they won't go down, which is a weird thing.
So you're saying with BMW when they like the 7 Series, is that has something to do with displacement or no? I know nothing about BMW.
So the 7
educate me.
The 7 is the series of the car.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
So
this.
The
and then
7
the number
big
following that, so like if it's 745, it's a 4.4 V8.
Ah.
And then if it's a 5 liter, then it'll be a 750, etc. But yeah, they just lie about this stuff now because those badges have stuck around so long that they don't want to change the badges on them. So a 63 is going to stay a 63 until everyone knows that that isn't representative of what's in the car anymore, and then they'll change it.
Because they used to make a C55 AMG. So if you go 55, 63, C40, it's weird.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's why I like
the more
the
you
CLA.
know.
That's why I like the CLA, because they called the CLA 250 and then the CLA 45, even though the 45 has the same engine, displacement
Yeah, I
wise.
didn't realize that. That's even worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make 450 horsepower.
No, it doesn't. It's
There's
not.
nothing about that makes any sense.
Nope.
So the Germans are lying to us again.
As are the French and the Italians.
Yes.
America.
Yeah, brilliant.
Before you had the CLS 550, I believe you had an SC300 as well.
Yes, I did. I had a 93 Lexus S. I love that bloody thing.
So that's the two-door Lexus, and that was, what was that based off of? That was
It's the same chassis as the Mark IV Supra.
Okay. So did that have a 1JZ or a
No, I had a 2JZ
2JZ.
GE, so
GE?
non-turbo.
So that'd be the same as the IS300 then.
Yeah, same engine base. Yep.
So was yours a manual?
No, unfortunately not.
So why'd you get rid of that one?
Funny story, I was coming back from seeing, a woman. What a surprise. Coming back from seeing a woman, I was heading back to Ames.
If you couldn't tell, Joss is British, and I don't imagine that hurts your chances with the ladies. Now, I think we have to be careful because you do have a girlfriend, correct?
He hesitated. That's not good.
Yeah, let's answer this question now that you've said that.
Carefully.
I have to be very careful. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I've just got myself in trouble, so that's fine. Either way.
Don't worry, not a lot of girls listen to this.
No, I'm also going to tell her not to listen to this. I'll tell her it was terrible. Don't listen to it. But yeah, it doesn't hurt at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a very good opener and icebreaker.
Absolutely.
Well, then you show up in a suit, and then he's in a baggy V-shirt. I'm not even wearing socks.
We feel completely
Then we have you in a
underdressed.
full suit, and shoes that cost more than my clothes.
What? You'd be surprised how much those shoes actually cost.
I would be probably. They look really nice.
They are. They're really nice, but I didn't pay full price for them.
You're a bargain hunter.
So,
I like
yes,
that.
I am, exactly.
I like it.
Yes. Well, hey, hang on. I'm just going to say I do the same thing with cars anyway. You got to find the right price for what you want. Don't overspend. It's like, again, with women, I'm just going to dig a hole now. May as well dig a hole. Same thing. Don't overspend. Don't do it.
Just spend the bare minimum to get by.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I use the line that, oh, I'm over here for travels or for business and I'm leaving again next week, and it helps pick them up as well.
Yeah, but that might be slightly more believable for you because you're a foreign accent. You can sell this whole story that you're
right.
a foreign traveler.
Yeah, and it comes in handy. You can throw pretty much any story you give me. If you wanted me to use it, you tell me, I'll go put it to work. And if I get in trouble, I'm great at getting out of it too. So why not?
So anyway, you were visiting a girl before I interrupted you.
Yeah, visiting a girl, and then Michael interrupted me, and then we continued with this. And I was driving up in Ankeny on the interstate, and I hit a patch of ice coming off the on-ramp, and I lost it, and I managed somehow to get it back. That thing was nice and easy balanced. It was fun to drive for that reason, but as I got it back, I hit another patch, and it threw the car out completely. So I was facing arse to the wall, and to the center median, and I look over to the passenger side, and I was going to stop and try and turn around.
Yeah.
And instead, I decided to try and get it to power over, because when I looked over, there was a big red semi coming right my way. So I valued my life enough to say, yeah, I think putting the car in the wall is a better option.
Yeah.
So I put the car in the wall, and it didn't feel like a massive shunt at that point. So, of course, everything calms down. The couple of cars that tried to slow down and spun out a little bit were okay. They carried on. And I got out the car to go take a look at it. There was this huge hole in a massive dent in the rear quarter panel on the driver's side.
Yeah.
I pretty much cried. Let's just go there. I pretty much cried. And then waiting for the state patrol officer to turn up, sat on the hood of the car and whatnot, and he turns up and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just crying because I love this car." And he laughed at me. And then he asked me to move it. And then I actually cried then because he made me move it. And all I could hear was rubbing wheel on fender. And that was horrible. And that was pretty much the last time I ever got to drive that car.
So you kept the car though, right?
Yeah, I kept it for a while. I was going to try and figure out what to do with it.
Because it was sitting if I remember right, it was sitting at the dealership. Because
Yeah.
you said, I remember you saying something about you having it, but it wasn't drivable at the time,
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So you ended up selling it then.
Yeah, I sold it to, actually at the time, my sister's boyfriend sold that. I sold it a while ago, and he put some work into it, got it driving and stuff like that. So it was moving around for a while, but I had the CLS, so I didn't want to work on the SC.
Because right after that happened, I'm assuming you bought the CLS then.
Yeah, pretty much, out of completely egotistical choices.
So that came into the dealership you were working at, right? And you bought it from them?
It had been there for about 8 months.
8 months?
Yeah, it had been there for 8 months. And I'd had my eye on it the whole time because I loved it.
If you don't know, if you have a car, if you own a dealership and you've got a car that's been sitting there for more than like 30 days, that car is costing you some money.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's just capital that's wrapped up. It's not making you any money if you're not selling it. You can't buy somebody else's trade-in.
Right.
It's just sitting there costing you money, taking up space on your lot.
Yep.
So for something to sit on a lot for 8 months is astounding.
And it needed such a specific person to come in and buy it that it was highly unlikely to move from a Toyota lot. It was highly unlikely to move. And I went and test drove it and looked at it. And, you know, like I said, I'm half Indian. So kind of this whole ego thing comes into play in that regard all the time. So while it wasn't the right thing to do, it also wasn't the wrong thing to do. If anything, it was just the brown thing to do.
I loved that car, though. You've since sold it, obviously, but I remember I was driving down the interstate. I think I was headed through Ankeny, and I saw you had let somebody borrow it at the time.
Probably one of my friends, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw them driving it, and it was so sick because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that thing had air ride suspension on it.
Yep.
Which you had lowered somehow.
Yes, with the lowering links, which if anybody ever has any chassis that has that airmatic system on it, if they want to lower it, get the lowering links because it's the cheapest, best way to do it.
It was so sick seeing one of those CLSs, and it lays it out. I mean, it does.
Well, I laid it out, again, because that's how I love that look.
How'd you get it lower than that?
So the links themselves, you have to extend them. And then you have to kind of mess with the sensor to get it to go a little lower than it'll allow you with the links.
Yeah.
And then, of course, trying to fit the wheels in, make them fit right. You've got to find somebody who has a bit of patience to do that alignment, because there's enough adjustment in the stock stuff that you can get it fine. But in the end, I had to raise it just about a quarter of an inch, I think, front and back, to actually get it to sit right and how I wanted it to be and comfortable. It would throw error codes sometimes. Like if you hit a big enough bump and it came down, it would tell you that the Airmatic system was experiencing an error. So then when you turned it off and turned it back on, it was fine. But it looked fantastic.
It looks so good.
Now, how low were you sitting?
It was 2.7 inches from stock.
That's so low.
It was.
On that
it was
car, which is not a tall car to start with.
It wasn't, and it had 20s on it. So, I mean, everybody said that 20s are too big, but the stock 19s that came on it, I don't think fit. 20s, once they were on there, lowered as it was, driving down the road, cruising comfortable, quiet. Well, not quiet. But
that was where I was going next, actually.
It's not quiet, but it was much quieter on the inside than it was on the outside.
Yeah. So did you just cut the muffler out?
Okay, so funny story on this. A friend and I were at work, and we were discussing what the CLS might sound like if we took the mufflers off. So, of course, me, who doesn't care in general because I can get things fixed all the time, I was just getting itchy to change it, and I wanted to hear what it'd sound like. So at the end of the day, I put it up on the lift to take a look, see what we could do with it. And I looked at him, and he goes, yeah, I mean, we could cut it off. Do you have a Sawzall? And I was like, no. And he looks around, and he goes, we've got a torch. So literally, we took a torch to a Mercedes-Benz and cut the exhaust off, and in 20 minutes, it sounded like a beast. And of course, I got bored with that sound too. So then we cut the resonator out, and I got the resonator replaced with a cross pipe, and then got dual tips put on the back. But so there was no muffler.
There was no muffler, no resonator.
It had the front resonator, and then no rear, and then no mufflers.
So it was almost straight piped, except for that cross pipe.
Almost, yeah. I wish I'd have ended up getting headers for it.
Yeah.
And then had a cutout, because that would have made it sound fantastic.
That car was so sick, Robbie. I'm sorry you never saw it.
I know. We're gonna have to post a bunch of pictures of that.
You have some pictures of it still?
Yeah, I should have some.
Okay.
I'll be able to pull them up, find them.
And then what else did you do to it? The funny thing about that car was, obviously, that car, when it was new, was bought by an executive. I mean, that's who
it
buys
was bought by a doctor.
Bought by a doctor.
It was a doctor. Don't ask me how I know that.
So it's lowered, it's straight piped. You had the stickers on the rear window, the line of stickers, and
it was the opposite of what the car should have been.
And that's why I loved it, because it was almost bizarre. You looked at it and you went, wait a minute, who could buy this car?
I think my mum actually put it the best way, because she said when you got it, it was luxury, it was quiet, it was what a Mercedes should be. And when you sold it, it was quiet and comfortable and luxurious, what you wanted it to be. But then on the outside, it was big, brash, bold, loud. And she said, to be honest, I see why you like cars now, because they are an extension of you, aren't they? Too loud, too brash, too bold, and too irritating.
So while you own that car, for those that don't know, for the Mercedes uninitiated, it takes a certain level of person, as you said, to care for them. Mm-hmm. Because Mercedes has, at that time, was it still called the ABC Care Plan or whatever it's called? I don't even know if that's...
Yeah, they had the same kind of thing along with those regards. And of course, when I picked it up, it was outside of any warranty period.
Yeah.
So getting an extended plan from Mercedes would have been a good idea. I chose not to, since I had access to the shop and stuff at that time.
Yeah.
And there were a few maintenance items I had to do on it, which if you do not know what you're doing, if you don't have access to that, I will not, unless you have sufficient income, do not buy one. Just don't, because it will, the $1,100 service for replacing the motor mounts, I was able to do for a heck of a lot cheaper.
Right.
With the help of a friend, and that was it.
So besides the motor mounts, what was the worst thing that came up?
Actually, it was really reliable, which...
Was it?
Yeah, it was. The CLS, for informational purposes, had the most designers work on any Mercedes car that had ever been used.
Really?
So everything in it was more reliable. It was better placed. It just worked better. And the M27355 V8 was rock solid. The only issue I had with that engine was I had a coil pack go out, and I had to replace the spark plugs because they reached their age.
Which is,
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
I'd call that
Basic
maintenance.
stuff. It's easy access to that stuff. It was simple. The motor mounts were actually really easy to do. It just took a lot of time.
yeah.
And other than that, honestly, besides the fact that I went through tires like none other.
As you should in a rear-wheel drive
Exactly.
5.4 liter Mercedes.
Rest of the car, I never had any of the common issues that people talked about. I never had any of those things, and it was reliable.
Because that was kind of on the tail end of a bad period for Mercedes. I don't even know if Mercedes at that point was really that bad, but right before that, like 2000 and, 2000, well, maybe even earlier than that, but up until like, I don't know, 2005, 2006.
It was between like 92 when they would transition. They were owned by, when Chrysler actually had a lot of input in their builds. So 92 to 2003 or so, those 11 years, they really just tried to save money instead of building what previously had been rock-solid cars.
Yeah.
So they started designing cars they could save money on and whatnot. The CLS came after that period, and luckily, for those of us who owned one, it came after that period because it was a great car to own. Much like the E-Class that, precedes it. That's what the CLS is based on.
Yeah.
But that same one, the W211 E-Class chassis, that's just as reliable, just as good. Of course, they've all got issues, the luxury cars.
Right.
But for what you expect from it, no, it's pretty reliable.
I'm kind of surprised that that car was reliable, but even at its age that there weren't any issues with it. Because, I mean, you look at Audis, for instance. Audis, really, from any era, it almost doesn't matter. As soon as they get past a certain age, they are just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And not only that, and maybe it's a testament to the fact that Mercedes is the oldest car maker, and they've been around the longest, and they spend the most money on engineering in comparison to anybody else. For instance, the V8, the 4.2 liter Audi V8, the timing chain for that is on the back side of the motor.
That's a smart place to put it.
It's the stupidest place to put it that I can think of. So when on the original, I think it was like the 2.7 liter bi-turbo motor, they had issues with the timing chains going out on them. So when they went to the 4.2 for the S4, they put them on the back side of the motor and they made them chains instead of belts. Well, when they did that, they put in plastic timing tensioners. So you've got plastic timing tensioners, which is a wear item, on the back side of the motor, which means you have to tear the whole front of the car off to pull the motor out to change the timing tensioners. You don't have to change the chain, because it's fine, but you got to change the tensioners. And it's like a $4,000 job.
For a $30 part.
Yeah, for probably a $30
I don't
part.
think Audi mechanics get paid enough money for that.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's bad engineering, in my
That's
opinion.
awful engineering.
Yeah. So, anyway, it sounds like by that period, Mercedes had worked through a lot of their problems.
They had.
And the other thing that Audis are terrible for air ride problems. And so I was curious if you had issues with your air ride, especially with that one being lowered, but it sounds like it was pretty reliable.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes it would tell you there's an error in the air ride system.
Yeah.
But if I hit the raise button on it and lift it back up to about the stock height, as close as it'd go, when it raised itself up, you turn the car off when you park it and then go back to it, it's fine.
How much adjustment did that have?
About 2 inches it would raise it.
Okay.
Yep. So plenty for a curb. That was the other thing. When you own a Mercedes and you lower it, you get to any curb and you slow the heck down, because when it scrapes, I don't care whether it's one of those loud scrapes or a massive bang, it doesn't matter what it sounds like. If you scrape it, you let out a little tear every time.
I think you mean speed bump for the Americans. You call them curbs, right? Or do you mean actual curbs?
Well, an actual curb. If you have to go up, like I used to...
going into a driveway.
Right, yeah. Driveways were awful. I used to hate that. And if people made me drive on gravel,
oh man,
if I'd tell them, you can either get out and walk now, and I will just wait here for you, so I'll see you in like 6 hours, or I'm going to drive about 3 miles an hour, and if you complain, I will stop then, and you can get out
then.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I got a body kit on my 240, so I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I can't go over speed bumps, curbs. It's hit or miss, like literally hit or miss. And yeah, so it's awful.
That was the nice thing about Air Ride as well, though, with that adjustment to raise it.
Yeah.
I could come up to a speed bump, drop it to about 30 mile an hour, lift the car up, and you'd get people when you sat at a stoplight and you know you're going to go over one, you'd lift it up and the car would raise and you could just wave at people next to you and they give you this funny look of, what's going on with your car? Why is it doing that?
Am I going down or is he going up?
Yeah, exactly.
So, as we mentioned, you sold the Mercedes then.
Mm-hmm.
So you've just kind of had a daily driver up until this point. So when we were preparing to have this conversation, we had a meeting. You said you were looking at buying potentially a new daily driver. Mm-hmm. We've had a fervent daily driver argument on this podcast.
Yeah, we did it like what, episode 4?
Yeah,
3,
it was pretty early.
Something like that. Almost 2 months later, we're still arguing about it.
Yeah. So you came in today and gave us the news that you had bought something. Now, we don't know if that was a daily driver or if that was another silly car. We don't know. So we are waiting in anticipation to hear what you've bought.
Yeah, you're going to crush me. Don't worry. Just trust me. It's related to what we just talked about. Believe me.
Well, so, okay, before you go there, is this supposed to be your everyday car?
Yeah, it's going to be the commuter.
Okay.
Since I have to drive an hour to work, and then once I don't, I'll either just keep it because it's going to be great for winter, and I can leave it stock. Because I do not want to put...
So you're saying it's relatively practical?
Well, for now, yeah. I'm going to get my hands on it. It's going to be quite a lot less than practical.
I have a concern that it's an Audi.
You would be correct in your concerns.
Yes.
See, told you. Except, okay, it's a 2001, 2001 Audi A6.
Oh, right? I had one of those.
With a 2.8.
I had one of those.
And a Quattro.
That's exactly what I had.
Okay, so how much do you think I will pay for one of those?
$2,000.
No. Actually, you want to know the funniest part? It's 10/10 of $2,000.
What?
I paid $225 for a running and driving 2001 Audi A6.
And how did you manage that?
He was trying to get rid of it for $300, and I got there. I looked over it for a while, and it needs a couple of things. It's got like 280,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, it's going to need a bunch of fluids and things, and it might give me some issues.
Yeah.
But the engine, it sounded strong. Everything was good. Had the typical like LCD wear out and stuff on the inside.
Yep.
Interior though was clean. Leather's all intact. Everything's good. Shift is broken, but I can fix that. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
So that stuff was all good. It's got a couple of dents and things like you'd expect, and needs to be plasti dipped because if you're going to do it, dip it. And then, and of course, needs suspension wise because it kind of just bounces down the road like a big bottom girl.
So needs some dampers.
Right? Yeah, it does quite a lot. And then, other than that, there were no real issues with it. Well, until I started driving it home, in which case, once I got it towards home, which was about 65 miles away, the last 5 miles were a bit hairy. I get home, I'm like, okay, I've got to check where this vibration's coming from. And I put my foot on the driver's side wheel, and it moves. So I was like, shit, wheel bearings need to be replaced. But other than that, honestly, brakes and wheel bearings, that's it.
You tell me what four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicle you can buy for $200.
That is actually quiet and comfortable to drive still.
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't
it's
do
impossible.
it. Yeah, good luck buying a pickup for $200.
I know. AC works, heat works, everything works. Cruise control. I have not had a car with cruise control that worked properly since I had the Mercedes before I lowered it. That was the only issue the Mercedes had. The cruise control wouldn't work sometimes, so I kick in and out.
Huh.
And this is the first car I've had that has cruise control, so you have no idea how much of a luxury that is.
So I had one of those. I had a 98.
Okay.
So it was the first year of that generation. It was the 2.8 Quattro, silver. Mine had navy blue interior, navy blue leather.
Mine's silver and black.
Silver and black. I loved that blue leather. I don't know
you
why.
You love the blue leather?
Yeah, it was fucking
We've got
sweet.
Granddad over here.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
It was awesome. I had the, it was like burled, it's probably burled maple is what it was, and it was kind of a reddish brownish color. I don't know what yours has, if it's got the silver trim or if it's got wood trim in it.
It's got a dark, I don't know what you call it, but it's a dark trim.
Yeah, it's wood though. It's
it's proper wood, not silver.
Oh man, I miss that car a lot. I should stay far, far away from yours because I loved it. So
see, okay, hang on a minute.
Now you can sell it to him for $700.
You ragged on Audi for a while, and then you're just telling us you love an Audi. I was expecting you to rag me, so I've done well now.
It's like so.
It's Stockholm syndrome.
It's Stockholm syndrome, and Adam has the same problem too. And it's with Volkswagen Audi Group products. You love them, but they're trying to kill you and kill your bank account all the time.
It's not trying. It's succeeding.
It seems to be. So I bought mine. I can't remember what I paid for mine. If it was like $3,800, but it had less than 100,000 miles on it, and this was, oh God, I don't know now, 6 or 7 years ago, I think. So it was not super old. It was in pretty good shape, or at least I thought it was. Turns out it wasn't, and it may have just been doing typical Audi things. Or supposedly the dealership I bought it from said that they had done all the service on it, and they had the records. Well, I don't know if that's true. So I drove it for a while. It was pretty good. It had a vacuum leak, which I was able to fix. The big issue, the one that started to kill me, was the transmission on it. For some reason, wouldn't shift into reverse, which is apparently not a big issue to fix on those.
I was going to say, it sounds like a big issue. It's not going to reverse.
No, but that's the problem. When it happens, you're like, fuck, I am so screwed now. This is a Quattro. This is going to cost me like $3,000 to fix. I can't remember what fixed it, but it really wasn't a big deal. And then the other issue was replacing the front axles. They were like impossible to get out.
Oh, shit.
The front axles need replaced?
No, I just was like, I'm going to do some maintenance, so I may as well replace them when I pull, because I'm going to have to replace the hubs and the wheel bearings.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, I may as well just do the axles while I'm in there. But the axles are fine, so now you're giving me an excuse not to do it.
Don't change the front axles.
Okay, good, not doing it now.
Yeah, definitely do not do the front axles.
If anything, if that's the case and they do need to be replaced when I get under there, I paid $225 for it. I'll part it out for more.
Yeah, you'll definitely get more for the parts.
Exactly. So I'm like, fuck you, I'm not dealing with this. Parted.
You might be able to sell the interior for $200.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't, I didn't own it for very long. While I owned it, I had problems with it. One of the problems was cruise control, actually. So if that breaks, it's really easy to fix.
Sweet.
Just FYI. It's just like 2 solder joints. You just touch them up. Off you go. Doesn't cost you anything. But it kept giving me problems. So I thought the sensible thing to do would be to buy a GTI, and that was wrong. So I sold the A6 and bought a GTI, which cost twice as much as the A6. I don't know what I was thinking. And it had not really any less miles on it, but it was the VR6 GTI.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was a 6-speed, and it was the last year. It was the 2004 VR6 GTI, and it was stock, and it was fucking sweet. And it tried to kill me as well, because it was just, you couldn't change the MAF sensor enough. I sent back so many MAF sensors to Rock Auto. It was ridiculous because they just didn't work. And I don't know if I tried different manufacturers. I don't know if it was an issue with the ECU. The other problem I had with it was the fan control relay controls the fans. There's 2 fans. There's a high-speed fan and a low-speed fan. Mm-hmm. And when that relay goes, the air conditioning stops working.
What?
So, yeah. So all of a sudden,
sucks in the middle of Iowa.
All of a sudden, you're just driving along and you've got no air conditioning. Now, the first thing you're going to do is, obviously it's the fucking fan relay.
Right, yeah, that's the first place you're going to go.
You're going to start checking to see if you've got Freon in the system. You're going to start looking for leaks. You're going to see if you got an issue with your compressor. Is it unplugged? I went through so much stuff before finally buried in a forum somewhere. Somebody's like, change that fan relay. After I'd spent who knows how much money. So anyway. In your case, in your case, you've didn't nearly spend not anywhere near as much as I spent on mine.
Nope.
So you've got lower upfront costs. So if you're in there saying, hey, I've got some maintenance costs for this,
yeah, exactly.
So be it.
I just don't care. Hopefully I can get an SC300 again this weekend. Pick up 2 cars.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
He's just as bad as we are.
Yeah, I am.
He might be worse.
It's like I said, it's like, you try and stay away from cars and you're like, I'm not going to get in trouble. And it's just the same as women.
Yeah, sure enough.
Doesn't matter how far away you try
Every
and get,
time.
they will find you.
So, the new SC300.
Yeah, it's a 97.
So it's newer than
Red
the other
with
one.
tan interior, yep. And I'm going to hopefully pick that up this weekend. If it's not gone, that's the hard part.
Absolutely.
I have to find time. So, getting down there, if it's not gone, I'm going to go pick that up as well. I'm not saying no to that.
What's the details on that?
That's $500. But
where do you find this? Is this on Craigslist?
Yeah, I just got lucky all of a sudden. so that one's red, tan interior, and to be fair, it needs some stuff like the headlights and the front bumper connected back on and the fenders put back on before I drive it away.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything else is fine. Paint's fading away on it. Again, dip it. Don't care.
Yeah.
if I get an SC, I will be the happiest person on the planet.
I know. You were talking about, you had your CLS there all laid out at that car show that we were at.
Right.
You were talking about your SC, which had a hole in the bumper. So
Yes.
that'd be awesome.
It would.
I really hope you get that because I'd be super pumped for you.
I do too.
That's a cool car. I mean, it's a car that, I mean, everybody wants to talk about the Supra, obviously. And actually, I was looking at, Josh had for sale a IS300, and I briefly flirted with buying that because that's a pretty cool car too.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that SC300, I don't think that it gets the praise that it should, or doesn't get the attention that it should.
It doesn't at all. Some people think it looks like an upside down bathtub.
See, I wouldn't agree with that at all. I think
I wouldn't either. I mean, I can see why they think that, but I've had the luxury of driving the Supra and the SC.
Yeah.
And for the money you pay, the only thing you're buying for the Supra is the fact that it's a Supra.
Right.
Because I don't prefer the looks. I grew up thinking the Supra was my favorite car.
Yeah.
And I drove the SC, and then I drove my friend's Supra, and I didn't. I just wanted to drive my SC all the time.
Yeah.
No, I've always had a soft spot for these cars. So to me, they kind of look like 240s.
Yeah.
So I always thought they were gorgeous cars, and I'm kind of in the same boat you were. I love Supras, and if I could have had a chance to get this,
Yep.
I totally would have done it.
If anybody ever finds the chance and they listen right now to this bit and they're like, oh, I kind of like SC300s. If you find a manual one for under $5,000, I don't care. As if it runs and drives and it's under $5,000, pick it up.
Or send it to us and we'll send it to Josh.
Yeah, that too.
One
That
of
too.
us will buy
That sounds like a great idea.
So cool. So fingers crossed. Good news is this won't come out until Sunday, so no one's going to poach it off Craigslist.
That's awesome.
So you're in free and clear talking about it right now.
So if I have it, yay. If I don't have it, you can all feel sorry for me.
That's fair.
All right, great.
I do want to ask before we move on, with the SC300, obviously I think that's probably the one that you're going to turn into a show car or do something with.
Yeah, that'll be the fun car.
What are you going to do with it?
Probably almost the same thing, because I didn't get to finish my build how I wanted on the last one.
Yeah.
So I'll go through and do the same things. Like with the tan and brown interior, I'll re-dye it to black on the brown parts. And I like the tan-black combination. I'll do the audio system, probably have the Nexus 7 for the Navi and all that stuff.
Yep.
Change steering wheel out to what I had before as well. Do the little things, lower it, wheels. Maybe get an exhaust this time because I didn't like the drone on the last one. That was the only thing. So maybe I'll just pick up a decent aftermarket exhaust system, clean it all up, get it all running nice and smooth, and just do the maintenance because the maintenance can add up real quick on those because no matter when you look at it, it's still a Lexus.
Yeah.
And then drive it for a while till I'm no longer on SR22 or have any issues and I've avoided trouble for a bit. And then we might start getting into turbochargers.
There you go.
So that,
And by that, I mean, I'm going to be like, oh, well, fuck the SR22. Let's just go get a turbo. That's pretty much what's going to happen.
So the GTE, right? That's what it is.
Yep.
So is that just a 2JZ without a turbo, or is
The GE is
Yeah.
the one that comes non-turbo in the SC and certain Supras.
Okay.
The non-turbo versions. The GTE is the one that came in the Supra. So the
okay.
2J GTE, you can swap those. You can swap 1JZs. If anything, if I was going to do a swap, I'd do a 1JZ because it comes in the Sora in Japan.
Yeah.
It's just, it looks more at home to me. And I like the way the 1Js look versus the 2Js. If there was anything else, I'd love to do an LS-based swap in an SC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
now he's all
Talking to
happy.
the right guy.
Yep. I'd love to do an LS-based swap, and I figured I'd say that on this show because you might like that.
I approve, yeah.
We're not against that.
But I'm not certain where I'd like to go with it yet. It depends. Because for the same money, the LS to me, the V8 sound is worth paying the same money as a 2J. Because you'll get the recognition. People will be like, oh, that's a 2JZ GTE or a 1J or
Yeah.
it's turbocharged. Yeah, but at the same time, you put an LS in that and it's going to make that really perfect rumble at a stoplight and you're going to have that naturally aspirated power. And if I really want to after that, I'll go turbocharged on an LS as well. So I'm not really holding myself back.
No, and there's something cool about a V8 coupe.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And a V8 Lexus coupe is definitely cool.
Definitely. With the
So-
T56.
Yeah, totally
Yep.
approve of that.
Yeah, see?
So there's one thing I want to talk about next. So we kind of touched on this before, this whole IA Nation thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we met at the car wash, as we mentioned.
Yes.
But after that, sometime after that, this IA Nation group popped up in Ames, or kind of north of Des Moines. And you guys started doing shows. Well, I didn't realize right away that that was affiliated with you. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to go through some of the timeline and some of the motivation and all that brought you to wanting to put this group together, how it got started, how it grew and evolved while you were kind of at the helm of the group.
Right. So what happened is the first meet you and I met at, that was a friend and I trying to get something together and put some meets together. Well, at the same time, unbeknownst to us, there was a bunch of students from Iowa State led by Nick, who he was trying to put a group together as well and do something. And he turned up at one of our meets one day and let us know that there was this group going on. Well, over the course of the next few meets and us getting together a bit, we sort of absorbed into his group because I like the name IA Nation better than what my friend and I had come up with. I like the way that his group was already set up with certain people and things like that. And Nick and I had these great conversations about things, and we realized we both had good qualities that could help the group grow. Mm-hmm. So in the end, him and I decided that it'd be best if we worked together and we keep growing the stuff. And of course, so Nick would organize these things, the get-togethers and things like that, and then I obviously, talk to people, try and get things going as well. Once we were there, I'd be the one that would talk to people, make people feel welcome, get them all involved in the group, try and keep people in communication and talking, and just make people feel like, IA Nation was somewhere they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so over a short space of time, it actually grew pretty quickly, and it continues to grow now. Of course, I don't have as much affiliation since I'm living further away, working more and more and more. Mm-hmm. It's quite difficult to stay on top of it. But you can watch it consistently grow. And I still try and make changes to it and involve myself in a way to make the group positive. Since there's so much negativity in the current scene in this area, it's quite stressful to see. You want to do something different, but of course, not everybody's going to listen to you, so you got to find a way to do what you can. And so I use that group as that platform to try and introduce people into it and to keep people, happy about what they're seeing. And it gives them a platform for Ames that is a broad spectrum of what's going on in the car community for that reason.
Yeah.
So is it growing outside of Ames for the most part, or is it kind of still centralized in this area?
It's still centralized. It hasn't really grown outside of Ames, but probably because neither Nick or I have actually tried to make the effort to expand it past that point.
Right.
I feel as though with the current climate in the community, if we made an effort, if we turned up and, did what we do best with that, I feel like the group would really go well. And Nick's great at organizing those events and getting people together and figuring out what he wants to do. He's got good vision, so it's handy to have that. And of course, if people want to come and talk and ask questions, I've always got an answer for something. If I don't know it, I'll find it. So it's helpful to have both of us involved at the same time, but it's a lot of effort to keep it growing outside the current area. So I feel once we get to a point where both of us want to get back to it, doing that again, when we feel there's more of a solid state in that car community that we have at the moment, then we'll probably get back into trying to expand it.
So the reason I kind of wanted to talk about IA Nation right now is that scene, I think for me is very important currently, because there's a lot of negativity, as you said, in the Iowa car culture in general. And I'm not sure why that is exactly, but it seems like, to me anyway, IA Nation seems to have a bubble around it where people tend to be more positive on that page, or maybe they just watch what they say, or maybe it's still small enough that people know who other people are, so you can't be as much of an asshole.
Right.
But I wish I knew what it was exactly that was causing people to be so negative when it comes to our car culture, when it comes to interacting with one another. I mean, people are destructive. They make bad decisions. They call each other out. There's stupid shit about, I'll roll race you for this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right, your car's a piece of shit, this, that, the other thing. And it's just a lot of hot air for no good reason.
It really isn't. It does nobody any good.
No.
At all. And everybody wants a scene that might work. Somewhere they can go, that they can show the cars and feel welcome. And I've tried to implement this a couple of times and show people, hey, look, if you can't be constructive, don't do anything. Don't do anything negative towards anybody, because otherwise you're going to receive reciprocated action.
Yeah.
You're going to get negative responses to you. And then you're going to feel bad about yourself. You've made someone else feel bad. They go tell someone else that you made them feel bad. You do the same, and then it spreads. And that's what's happening so often. Because Iowa doesn't have a massive population, because the car scene isn't that big relative to what's going on, you get all these pockets of people who are good friends, and you get pockets of what you want to call them, cliques, just like high school. It's the same thing. You get these people bitching and moaning about other people when we could all turn up at some well-organized, we have well-organized events. We have a few that people try and make the effort to do.
Yeah.
If you turn up and you positively encourage people, sure, something might not be your style, but it's theirs. Don't rag on them for it, because what they like isn't what you like, and what you like isn't what they like. It just works that way, but people tend to forget that they come from a different point. They're not encouraging. They don't remember that, hey, they once started with zero knowledge of cars. There's going to be people that turn up with no knowledge. Sure, if you are a dickhead and you do stupid things, you will be booted.
Yeah.
But that isn't everyone else being negative. That is your choice caused a consequence. And to be responsible for a group with 1,000+ people in it, you have to make those choices. If you aren't capable of making a choice that adults have to make, then don't start or try to take charge of something if you can't maintain that. You have to have authority. And to have authority, you have to be respected. If you involve yourself with the people doing the things that most of them hate doing, you're going to lose respect from everyone. You have to take the higher ground at all times. And that's the difference, is it's missing leadership. And that's the whole problem with the community, is there's nobody that people look to say, maybe we should act in this way and then we can help each other. The whole street racing thing, sure, if you want to go do that, go do that. You're putting yourself out there. If you get caught, you get any issues, that's your problem. But when you bring it to a meet where everyone else is, bring your respectful and attitude, bring good manners towards other people. Just be friendly.
Yeah.
If you want to be a dick, go be a dick somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, and that's the thing everyone forgets. They think by being themselves and being a giant dick out loud, they're making a change. You are, for the worse.
Yeah.
Right. So then IA Nation, was that started just as like, did you have a specific, not necessarily a clique at the time, or was it the intent always that, to have every type of car just show up and have like a big, community of the whole area?
Yep, that's exactly what we wanted. As soon as we discussed Nick and I getting together, we just wanted people to show up. It didn't matter what the car was, whether it was stock or not. If you wanted to turn up to look at other people's cars because you wanted ideas what to do for yours, great. Doesn't matter if it was muscle, whether it was old American, new American, whether it was a classic anything, foreign, Japanese, European, doesn't matter what you had, bring it to us. We want to see it too.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're excited to see what you bring now and what you'll bring in the future. Whether or not you change cars, whether you change the car you have, whether you keep buying different cars, doesn't matter to us. The whole point is, A, to make friends with people and make people feel involved in something that's bigger than themselves, and B, to give you a platform to support your hobby, not to put you down for what you think is right for your choices. Nobody should be able to do that. So we encourage people to do that. Sure, we had a good laugh at some of the things people did, but we'd always be constructive about what we're saying to them, so they would end up laughing at their cars as well. People laughed at me putting stickers on a CLS, putting big wheels on a CLS, lowering a CLS, making it loud. Sure, you can laugh at me, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I like it. And if you're laughing and you've got a reaction to it, then I can talk to you about your car as well, because you're now open to discussion as to what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, I think really the word that sums up what you were trying to accomplish is community.
Yep.
And that's what's really missing from these, and essentially all they are is Facebook pages.
They are.
They're not communities.
It's pretty much a bitch fest, and there's no organization to it.
No. And I've seen what I think and what I hope are maybe some positive changes, where some leadership has changed, quote, in air quotes, leadership.
Right. Yeah.
And where some people are actually trying to take the helm of these organizations and turn them around. And I think that that's great. But it seems like you and Nick had that maybe figured out from the beginning. I
I think
it takes some authority It takes some organization, and it takes motivating people to be on their best behavior and think about the collective as opposed to themselves and acting like a jackass.
It's because people don't want to say no to others. They fear that they're going to be unliked.
Yeah.
And, well, I say unliked, I mean disliked. If you're unliked, that's fucking Facebook for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you say no to someone because they can't do that and it's for the betterment of everyone, you can say no in a way that is constructive. You can say no in a way that means, look, if you do this, understand your consequence. This means you will not be involved anymore.
Yeah.
But you can say no to protect the entire entity, because you don't sacrifice your long-term goal for a short-term gain. You just don't.
Yeah.
And I feel as though some of the leaders involved in it do need to mature a little bit to get to that point. And until they understand what they have to do rather than what they want to do, they're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And even if they try and make a change now, they'll realize how much responsibility is involved. And they're probably going to you'll see the same thing. It'll go through cycles the whole time.
Yeah, it'll be a turnover.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I try to stay involved in that group to some extent because, you know, now I'm in West Des Moines as opposed to Ames, and there's kind of some distance there, but I have a lot of respect for the people that are there. I have a lot of respect for, you know, the conversations that are had on that page. I think those people are more respectful of each other, and therefore that's a positive community, and I want to be a part of that. So I just think it's cool. And
I appreciate those comments, because that means what we started in the beginning has actually continued.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't have all that much involvement right now, but the people I did before I left Ames, it obviously shows that they carried those on forwards as well. And the people involved actually believe in what we're trying to accomplish there. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody else back at Ames appreciates those comments as well.
Well, that's a testament to the original leadership. If you can or not necessarily walk away, but if you can take away your involvement from an organization and that organization continues to grow grow preferably, but at least be on the same trajectory that they were on, that's a testament to leadership.
Yep.
And it's a completely off-topic subject, but I think that a lot of companies miss that too.
Yeah, they do.
If you don't have that leadership in place where your CEO, your president, whoever it is, can go on a week's vacation and nobody dies because they have no idea what to do.
Yep.
That is an issue. That's not leadership.
The essence of failure is the lack of leadership.
Absolutely.
And that's just what it is.
So on that note, I'm going to switch topics on you.
Go for it.
So I don't know. You can say the dealership name if you want to. I'm not going to.
Let's just call them Toyota.
Let's call them Toyota.
The only reason I'm going to do that is because they were great towards me.
Okay.
But the manufacturer and the issues that are involved in that, in the service world, I think everyone that works in it can relate.
Yeah. So we had, I don't know if you listened to this interview or not, we had Josh Vettis on from Excessive Autosport.
Okay.
And he's a mechanic by trade, and he, from what I understand, he used to do like the Jiffy Lube, maybe a disc, but it wasn't kind of more.
He worked at Tuffy's in Ames.
Okay, he was at it's kind of still kind of a lube shop though, isn't it? Where they're kind of focusing on oil changes.
I'm sure that's probably more their strong suit, but I think they do everything.
They do. Okay,
yeah.
they do everything.
It's a legitimate repair shop.
So we got some feedback from him about that experience and how he appreciates being at Excessive a lot more than that, because you know he might be doing something repetitive, like, you know, his job is a lot of changing cams on LS motors, but he's okay with it. There's something about that is appealing to him, and he enjoys that. Plus, he's in a cool environment, and it's a lot better experience for him. So we were talking about that in relation to you, because you used to work at Toyota, and what I understand is you were a mechanic for about a year.
Yeah, about 9 months.
Yeah, and then
exactly.
you switched over and you were a service manager.
Correct.
So tell me about, I know you have some things you want to say about that experience.
Oh, yeah.
So you take it where you want to take it. We'll go from there.
Well, and it's the same thing. And like you said, you know, the points that Josh brought up were great as well, because it's the same. When you have that experience, you appreciate something that you're doing, that you enjoy so much more. Because being a mechanic in one of those shops is pretty terrible as well. Like, they just don't get treated well. You know, people think these mechanics make a bunch of money because the hourly rate is so high in comparison to what it was 10, 15, even 20 years ago. You know, the changes have been huge. Now, Sure, the manufacturer has to make money. The dealership itself, the service department, they have to make money. Otherwise, there's not going to be one to support these people buying their cars. They're not trying to rip you off when they charge you this money. They're trying to do business.
Yeah.
There's a reason you pay for the quality of the work. And yeah, the quality of the work is almost always exactly what it needs to be. Either the best for that vehicle or just as good as you would expect from any other dealership. But the treatment that the employees receive does not warrant the way customers or anybody who deals with service people in general ever treats them. Because these employees are always treated crappy. They don't get raises unless they ask or they threaten they're going to leave for more money somewhere else. They don't get treated well in general. You know, service managers, I used to do 50 plus hours a week. You don't get overtime. You're on salary. And then people say, oh, well, you make good money. I make money.
Yeah. Not at the...
What you think is good is certainly not good.
Not at the hours I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. I would value a bit more time. And sometimes you do 6 days a week and you'd be 60 plus hours, 70 plus hours, depending on what was going on. So there's always something to do. There's always people that are... If you get a pissed off service manager or you got a mechanic going on a ride along with you or something like that and they're mad, they're mad for a reason. They're not mad at you. Unless you come in there and you say, oh yeah, I've got this noise, I need to go for a ride. And then you say, oh, well, I don't want to fix it today. You've just taken money out of their pocket. That's the whole point. People don't understand how this system works because they don't get educated on it. And then they blame the mechanics and the service manager and whatnot. The manufacturers are out there screwing all the employees in the service departments, even in sales now.
Really?
They are getting you for money. That's all the manufacturer wants. They want their product done. The manufacturer wants to succeed. They don't care about the employees that work.
So this is top-down driven then?
Yeah.
This isn't even from dealership management. This is coming from the manufacturer?
Guaranteed, everything comes from the manufacturer, and I bet the people that listen to this, that work in service, you will get comments on it. They will tell you the exact same thing. They are treated poorly, and it relates to the manufacturer. Everything is customer-oriented. Fine, it's customer service. That's great. But you'd have to treat the employees with some sort of level of respect that they have earned, especially those that have been there 25, 30 years doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're subject to the same rules as a new guy like me. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
The changes need to be made. Otherwise, the manufacturers are just going to lose out in the end.
So why did you transition from being a mechanic to a service manager then?
When I applied for the job, I applied for a service manager position. And since I didn't know the dealership and I hadn't worked at a dealership before, the guy that hired me, who was a great boss, he wanted me to learn the system and how they did everything. So I was a mechanic for 9 months to learn about the dealership itself and about the processes and learn about the cars in general as well. And then the position opened up for service manager and I got transitioned to it. So it was... service manager suits me a lot better. I don't really like doing the mechanical work on cars. I like doing electronics and interior things, but dealing with people, something I'm good at. So I like to assist people in solving problems and issues and trying to do something right for them.
So what was the most challenging part of being a service manager then? Was it dealing with Toyota's bullshit, or was it actually dealing with the people and their attitude about the dealership?
I think it's consistent change.
Yeah.
Because there's always something changing. You always get an update to a procedure or a process or something. And, of course, you've got to explain these things to customers as to why they're going on. But you also have to deal with the mechanics coming to you at the same time. Then you got the big honchos letting you know, hey, this is going to happen as well. You've got to do all this. And then you got somebody breathing down your neck telling you, hey, you got to hit this goal. So, sure, all these things happen at the same time. But when that's consistently changing and there's always a change, that's the most difficult part. Because 1 week something might say, recalls are the biggest thing. There's so many of them that 1 week you have maybe 10, and the next week you come in after Sunday and you got another 5 that have just gone into effect. And you're like, okay, so now I've got to figure out how to do this. And the older guys, again, they've got experience. They know these new ones coming in. They know all the old ones too. When you're trying to catch up, and you've got consistent changes, it makes it really hard to effectively and efficiently do your job.
Yeah. So I think one question that a lot of gearheads deal with is what's going to affect my warranty. Mm-hmm. Now, I saw you giving some advice to somebody about this on IA Nation. What was your experience with guys buying cars, especially because you guys sold Scion as well, I think.
Correct.
So you had it's not the GT86, the FRS.
Yep. The FRS,
which is now a Toyota. So you had those there as well.
Yes.
Did you have to deal with guys coming in who had obviously done something stupid to their car?
Yep.
And broken something?
Yep.
And then did you have people come in that maybe had done some modifications, but it was obvious that it was a manufacturer failure? And how does the dealership determine that?
If you plan on doing any modifications to a car that was within its warranty period, if it's cosmetic, usually you're okay.
Yeah.
Because most of the failure is going to be mechanical issues. As long as your modification is not related to the failure, and if it is, you put the stock stuff back on. So my recommendation is always save the stock stuff. Put it back on if you're going to go in. If you have anything that you want to do engine-wise and you're within a warranty period, if you can't remove it easily, don't do it. Wait till the end of your warranty. It's not worth it because we've had people come in and you get those that you know that they've got something on there you can tell. They will deny you. They don't care. They will not want to pay out for a warranty if you did it. That's on you. That's not on them.
Right.
So they will deny you. It's not really worth it. And as the service manager, we don't want to tell you no because of your mistake. Mm-hmm. We don't want to do that. So I would recommend always doing the best possible thing, which is do cosmetic things before your warranty ends. And then once the warranty ends, do what you like with it. If you do have an issue with the warranty period because you drive like an insane twat, then don't tell anybody what you're doing. Just bring it in slowly. Usually the best thing to do is have it towed. Because if you have it towed, you can call Toyota's roadside assistance if you drive an FRS or anything, any Toyota. Most of these manufacturers have the same sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So they're informed of your failure at that point. If you do it that way, you're more likely to get your warranty approved anyway because it's all down to the car. So, if you're having a failure or any issue, get it towed, get them to look at it themselves. Mm-hmm. Don't let them ask you questions about how you drive or what you do. If they're doing that, they're probing. You don't need an answer. So there are a few things they try to catch people on that they suspect of doing those let's say, what's the best word for that? Dirty tricks. Because people will pull dirty tricks on
I'm
like
sure.
entrapment.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Exactly. They will try and they'll be like, oh no, you like, for instance, you'll see somebody that has a slammed ass brand new car and then it comes in with all the stock stuff and they have a broken control arm or something. And you're like,
dude, come on.
I saw you last week driving down the road with this thing and I know because your license plate's the same. So they try and pull those tricks on you and those things and you're like, look, I can get this under warranty this time. And you try and help them out, you try and do these things, but they'll come back. And they're the people that you don't want to help. So
right.
If you're genuinely just driving the car, trying to have some fun with it and things break, sure, get it under warranty, go to help yourself. Don't incriminate yourself either.
Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story is if you are going to modify a new car, you're taking that risk into your own hands because you don't know for certain what's going to happen. Now, as you said, if it's cosmetic, it's probably off the table, but take that into consideration if you're going to buy a new car and start throwing aftermarket parts on it.
And if you know a service manager, ask them before you do anything with it if you're having a problem. Anybody that knows me or wants to, reach out to me can reach out to me as well. Ask me a question anytime. I'll be able to help. If it's to do with warranty issues like that, I'll be glad to give you a perspective from somebody from the industry as well. So that's fine.
Now, do you think it was worse with Scion? Because when they advertised Scion when they first came out, it was kind of like, this is a car that's kind of a basic car with the intent for you to modify. Mm-hmm. So even the first advertisements came out, there were body kits and all this other stuff on them. So do you think that Scion was more likely to have that happen, or is that across the board, like any car from any manufacturer?
The best way to look at it is the cheaper that those vehicles are being sold and the younger the target audience, the worse you're going to have it. Because you're going to get the shitty drivers that think they know everything.
Yep.
coming in there, doing their little mods and stuff that they think they're causing no harm, coming in there with issues all the time. And the worst one you'll see is that the uneducated driver who doesn't know anything but does mods or pays for it, they're the ones that come in with tiny issues consistently, and they think it's your fault. They'll blame you for it, and they're the people that will get on your nerves. And if you are one of those people, knock it off, because nobody wants to help you. So if you have a problem, wait till it's an actual fucking problem and not shit you're making up in your head. If you pay somebody to modify your car and you don't know how it sounds beforehand, you need to pay more attention. If it sounds different because you just put springs on it, you need to pay more fucking attention. There is only so much that we can do, and the cheaper the car goes, like the lower end Hondas and the Scions, lower end now Toyotas, any of those cars, anything like that are all going to have the same type of driver. And educate yourselves before you start trying to blame people while it's within the warranty period. If you do stuff to it, it's pretty much your own fault if something goes wrong. But if you have your stock stuff, put it back on and try and do what you can with the warranty.
Anything else you want to say about your dealership experience?
I had a good time learning about the auto industry. Yeah. And I had a good time with the people I worked with, and I enjoyed where I worked and the people that surrounded me. But I will probably never go back to working in the auto industry itself because there are too many issues with it. It is so problematic. It is full of bullshit from left, right, and center all the time. It's like monkeys, honestly. You get shit thrown from all directions. So I just want to go back, and those of you that have stuck with it for years and years and years, all the power to you. And those that want to stay in it, all the power to you. And if you're in sales, I hope they don't change to the new format that everyone's talking about doing, which is just, you're not going to make commission on cars anymore. There's going to be a base pay for everyone, and you're going to make fixed amounts for the car you sell because there's too many options out there online to tell you what prices cars should really be at. So people can compare all the time, and dealerships and manufacturers are going to want to save themselves some money. So, again, everyone's getting screwed.
Robbie.
We jump to the news?
Let's do the news.
Let's do the news. All right, the first one up, we have that Ford, their Mustang is the best-selling sports car in Germany.
Jos.
Yes.
You're a European, sort of.
Yeah, I am.
I'm
hoping I'm not European.
The British. Well, he's not. He's in America right now, and
I can tell.
And people, in case you didn't know, we didn't fly to the UK to do this interview, and people from the UK sometimes don't identify with Greater Europe.
No, I do. Don't worry, I love Germany.
Okay. So we would like to get a European's perspective on this news.
I am not surprised by that number, to be honest.
No?
Because the Mustang hasn't been available for donkey's years.
Yeah.
So you get people in the UK that want them. You get people in France that want them. You get people, Spain, all that stuff. But where's the best place to drive a sports car? Germany. It just is. Maybe you're going to go to Belgium from Germany to go to Spa, but to be honest, Germany's the best place. And the Mustang that just came out is great as a car. Not as a killing machine, but as a car.
The internet would disagree with you. It's a fantastic killing machine.
Apparently so.
Yeah, a little back history on that. So yeah, the Mustang's been around for 50 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been 5 decades where Germany has never been able to get this car, and in 2015 was the first year that they were ever able to get it, ever. So in what month was it? March?
I think it was the month of March.
Yeah.
Is the month that they're talking about when they said it was the best-selling sports car. So it beat the TT, which is kind of surprising because I think the TT might have been even cheaper in Germany anyway. The 911, which that's not much of a surprise because it's not cheap.
Well, the 911 was the closest, though.
Yeah, it was the second best-selling car. And then the Mercedes SLC or something, I don't know. Some sort of Mercedes. And then Chevrolet sells 18 Camaros apparently in Germany, which is just completely embarrassing. But
they tried.
They made an attempt.
I want to know how many they actually shipped over there if they're only selling 18.
Not much of an attempt.
Can't be any.
So do you have to? I wonder. Do you go into like a Chevy dealership and you say, "I want a
Nope.
Camaro," and they say, "Sir, we will have to order you one."
They don't even have Chevy dealers in Germany. It's
Yeah, you
Cadillacs.
have to come to the U.S.
Well, they said they have Cadillacs there.
They do it
so
through Cadillac?
through at the Cadillac dealership. You can get them.
So you have to go on the internet and
Yep.
decide, "I want a 2016 Camaro," and then you have to drive your ass to the Cadillac dealership and order it because they're not going to have any. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, then, which brings up the question: if they're only selling 18, is it American spec with the left-hand drive?
Well, there it doesn't matter because it'd be left-hand drive, but everything's going to be in miles per hour because surely there's not both of those.
Yeah, but it's got to pass European Commission. So what
Right.
the fuck are they doing there?
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe they are. It seems like
it's
it would
weird.
cost you.
Did I say
way-
European Commissions or European Emissions?
Emissions.
You said
Emission?
commissions, but
Emissions.
we knew you meant emissions.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's been a long day.
So it seems like they would be losing money on that deal unless they're charging like 70,000 euros for a Camaro.
Right.
Yeah, but there was a reason that GM went bankrupt a while ago, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Because they were trying to sell 18 Camaros in Germany.
That took down all of GM and had nothing to do with American sales. It was just the fact that they were shipping 18 Camaros a month over to Germany.
Yep. Yeah, so Ford sold 780 Mustangs in Germany compared to Porsche's 752 911s. But yeah, the craziest thing to me was that, I'll see. Yeah, so the 911 cost roughly $110,000 American. And then, but the weird thing was, oh shit, I had it too. The Mustang is just outrageously priced over there compared to what it is here.
So it's 43,000 euros, which
Yes.
it's not vastly different. So, okay, this drives me nuts, and I'm putting this out here, I think, for the second time. Autoblog is a big offender of this. You cannot take a euro price or a UK pound price for a car, convert it to American dollars, and say that's what that car is going to cost in the US. It does not work that way.
It's not.
It drives me fucking nuts. Autoblog does it all the time. It's not how that works. If anything, a closer rule of thumb is that if you take that $43,000 number that's in euros and just say it's $43,000, it's about the same.
You're close enough that way.
Yeah. So it might be a tiny bit more than the one here, but really I don't think very much. Now, obviously, those are Euro specs, so Ford's building them. I don't know where they're building them, but they're converting them to European spec.
Are those all the 5.0s?
Well, I think that was the most popular one.
Right.
It was the 5.0.
Yeah, they said right here on actually CNN that the V8 Ford is roughly the equivalent to $50,000 American, while here it sells for about $32,000.
Yeah.
Like obviously,
And that's all those import taxes and everything else that the Europeans decide to charge you for having fun in a car.
Is that
'Cause they're
like VAT?
dicks. Pretty much the value-added
VAT,
tax
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
wow.
Because they're a bunch of dicks about cars.
It's you can buy a car at a reasonable price, I think, in the UK, but then you got to pay all this VAT shit on top of that, and that's what kills you. And the insurance
Is insane.
outrageous,
Yup.
outrageously expensive for
horrible.
insurance.
Why is it so outrageous?
All right. Well, okay. Let's
Yeah.
give you
Educate
a
me.
say. What do you drive?
95 Nissan 240 SX and a 2013 Nissan Rogue,
Okay, so you have a brand new car almost,
roughly.
and a older sports car.
Yes.
Right. And you pay what in insurance?
Let me think. I think it's like $250 every 6 months for both.
So, okay.
Like
So you're
not a
paying
lot
$500 a year
for insurance.
for a 2-3-year-old car and a 20-year-old sports car.
Right.
Right. In the UK, you would be paying 5 to 6 times that much
Just in general, all cars.
for just those two cars being an older sports car.
Wow.
They don't care how much the car cost you.
Right.
It's how much you're going to cost them.
It's what you're going to run into when you crash.
Exactly.
I suppose.
And it's horrendous.
Wow.
It's extortion is what it is.
The only thing I can think of is that it's so much more congested. There's a potential for you to cause more damage.
See, what I don't get, I don't understand that, because sure, there might be less room for everyone,
Yeah.
but they go through a much tougher driving license test. You have to pay for lessons. You have to pay to take a test. These tests are not easy. They're quite guaranteed most of these American drivers I see every single day would fail time and time again.
I would
It is
believe
a
that
test
wholeheartedly.
that we should have
Yeah.
in this country.
Yep.
I was driving, so I was not late, but I was driving here, and I got stuck on the interstate because there were 2 accidents at the same time. I'm sure one guy got in an accident, and then I'm sure the other guy wasn't paying attention because he was texting, and he slammed into the back of another guy that slowed down to look at the accident. So it blocks the whole fucking freeway shut down because these two assholes ran into each other. I was just telling Adam the other day when I was walking up here to do the last podcast, I think what we should do in the U.S. is take everybody's driver's license away. I don't care. I don't give a fuck who you are. You lose your driver's license, you have to prove that you get that thing back.
Yeah, see, I think that's a good idea.
We got to shut the whole country down, shut down everything for 2 weeks. Shut the whole fucking thing down. You can't go to work. You got to study and take a driver's test, and you got to fucking pass that thing. Otherwise, you're not getting your driver's license back. I don't care. I don't care if China overtakes us. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired of people not being able to drive in this country. It is awful.
No, I totally agree. Adam should have to take his test in an ultimate GTR.
Is that the R35?
Whichever one he wants to call it.
I personally think the ultimate GTR is the R34.
I agree.
I actually
never got it here.
I think the 33s. I like the.
You like a 33?
Yeah, I do a lot.
Actually, I take that back. I like that M3, but I appreciate the fact that you like that your ultimate GTR is the R34, and Josh, your ultimate GTR is the R33. Mm-hmm. I appreciate and respect.
I like it.
Those decisions, and I approve of them.
That's a first.
And Adam's got the R35, so we got it all covered.
Awesome. Next news item.
Moving on.
Which is for Adam, and he's not here.
Yep. So we're going to breeze right past it because it means nothing to me. The Audi RS3 is actually coming to America. Whoop-de-doo.
Josh, you're a European.
Quick, bring it to me. I'll fill Adam's shoes.
So Adam and I, well, hold on a minute here. We are Audi brethren.
Yeah,
we can
I'm clearly outnumbered here.
We've
That's
totally
fine.
come into this conversation the wrong way. We can have this conversation. Let's attempt it here. I'm excited for the RS3 to come to the U.S. because I like the inline 5 turbocharged 2.5 harkens back to the Audi Quattro, doing rally things, jumping off of hills, stuff like that. I'm into it. I think it sounds amazing. I'm excited they're actually bringing it here. I'm glad it's a sedan because, Adam, you're wrong. I don't want the wagon. I want the sedan. Joss, what do you think about it?
I actually agree with you on the fact that sedan is a better choice.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's obviously a rally car. You want a sedan. You don't want a wagon for that. You want something you can throw around and feel comfortable driving it. The wagon ends up with too much top weight. It just doesn't work. It does. I mean, Adam can say whatever he likes about that. But
He can say whatever he likes about it at home by himself.
Exactly. Yeah. He can't give me a rebuttal now, and if he tries to next week, then, I mean...
It's too late.
Have to come back on and give him another one.
We'll tell him we're not on that topic. We're moving on.
But I think the RS3 coming here gives Audi another option to sell to people that are looking for something that is obviously worthwhile, all-wheel drive with that Quattro system, which is great, and gives them a sports car that they can actually have fun in for a decent price.
Yeah, I was excited about the S3 when it came out because that was pretty cool. That's just the turbocharged 2-liter. There was rumors of this car coming out, but no one could substantiate them because it's, as we've said, it's not cheap for a company to decide to bring a car over from a different country. Now, it makes sense for them only to bring one of those models over, not the wagon, because that has to go through the same safety standards as the sedan does, and it doesn't do them any good. I don't think it's going to deter anybody from buying one if they can only get the sedan. I think the A3 or the S3 or what's going to be the RS3 is a great looking car. It's the right fucking size for a car.
Yep.
Because cars are too fucking big. I don't know what manufacturers' problems are, but they just make cars massive now.
Yeah.
Huge.
They do.
And I like the idea of a small, turbocharged, inline 5 Audi. It's cool. I approve.
Yeah. The American mindset's catching on. Bigger is better.
Yeah.
That's
all the
why.
manufacturers.
Yep.
Right. Well, I'm kind of surprised that they are bringing over the sedan versus the wagon, considering how, like you said, everything's going to crossovers and wagons. So I would actually expect them to bring the wagon.
I think they had issues with the old A3 though, because I can't even remember like chassis codes for that, but the model before this one was wagon only, and I think it was not very good for sales.
Yeah, the hatchback version A3 that came out.
Yeah.
I'd call it a hatchback because that's what it was in Europe as well. But yeah, they didn't do very well over here.
Yeah, they really struggled with that. So when they revisited the A3 with this generation, it only came as a sedan.
Okay.
So I think it makes sense. I think it's a great move. It's going to be between 300 and 400 horsepower. I saw several different numbers, but
Nothing above 400 it looked like. So
I don't care. I'd cut the exhaust off it like you did and go with it. Just, God, that's a good sound.
Yep.
All right, what's the last thing you got there?
the application process for the Ford GT is a bit ridiculous.
It is stupid.
So, say I have $500,000 just lying around because,
Normally
who
you do.
doesn't?
Who does not?
I mean, you got these trust fund kids over here. They do. They have
My next trust fund check should cover a Ford GT
right.
I choose
if you
to.
decide not to buy another lake house and a boat, but there's only 500 they're going to make, and you might not get one because, as rich and famous as you are, you probably aren't going to make the cut.
I don't have enough Instagram followers, Joss.
Nope.
I can't help you with that. I don't really have an Instagram. I mean, I could be on yours. That might help.
Yeah.
But I can't refer people to you.
Yeah.
Yep. So
So I'm no good for a Ford GT either, am I?
No, I don't think any of us are going to be getting a Ford GT.
Damn.
So Bloomberg actually applied for one. I don't know how or why, but Bloomberg, the company, one of their writers decided to apply for one. And he was saying, basically they ask you questions such as, describe your role as a public influencer, which is complete bullshit for tell us how many Instagram followers you have. They also ask you, do you have a Ford? Do you own Ford fleet vehicles for your business? Or are you affiliated with a Ford-sponsored charity?
they ask if you're a collector, motorsports enthusiast.
They asked you for a 60-second video to describe why you would like a Ford GT and why you would be a good owner.
Because it's a fucking Ford GT and it's going to sit in my garage.
Yeah, which brings up
dickheads.
the question: do they want people that are going to not trash these? Like, we get these Hellcats that come out, and every other video of one is one crashing into something. Are they afraid that's going to happen with these GTs? There's 500 in the world, and every other video on YouTube is going to be somebody crashing it. Are they trying to avoid that, and just have collectors, or are they trying to go the other direction and have 500 drivers?
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to find, I think it's 300. Is it 500?
I thought 500.
Anyway, it's
assume
just a
500.
few hundred.
Yeah,
So
it's not many.
I think what they want is they want a Patrick Dempsey type of guy.
Right. Somebody that
he's-
people can follow.
He can drive. He has a shitload of followers. Women like him. He's going to post pictures of it all over all of his social media accounts. He's going to talk about how great it is, and it's just going to be a marketing puff piece for Ford. And they can guarantee, first of all, that car costs $400,000. I don't think it costs them that much to make it. I think they're making quite a bit of money on that.
Yeah.
Because it's got a Taurus motor in it, if we're honest. and so they are making a ton of money off of this deal, and they're in turn doing their own marketing, or they're having other people do their marketing.
I was going to say, it sounds genius to me.
They're having people pay them to market their cars.
Yep.
Yes.
You know who they give one if he was a bit smaller? The Rock.
Yeah, if he could fit in one.
Yeah, if he could fit in one, they'd just give him one. They wouldn't even...
On the article I was reading, they joked about having John Cena or like Jay Leno or Jerry Seinfeld get one. I don't think it's a joke. I think all three of those guys could easily get one.
Jerry Seinfeld for sure will have one. Jay Leno will write a
and
whole episode on his YouTube channel about it.
Cena won't fit in one, so he won't get one.
Yeah, he's a pretty big dude.
He's
Yeah, he is.
kind of jacked and tan.
So anyway, it's simultaneously dumb, but also
Genius.
kudos to Ford.
Right, exactly.
I'm annoyed by it, but
As a car guy, you're annoyed by it.
Yeah.
But as somebody who respects good marketing, that's genius.
it is quite genius.
I kind of want to see how it plays out, whether it is 500 collectors or 500 drivers that
It's
are
a
going
good
to
thing to
take it
keep an eye
out.
on.
Yeah. All right, guys. Joss,
Thank you for coming on.
greatly appreciated.
I was great being here. I really had a lot of fun.
Other things I would like to say about this experience, you're much better looking than Adam. You're much less argumentative. I feel like this
You're
episode...
much better well dressed.
He's much better well dressed. I feel like the episode went more smoothly. What else does Adam not do?
Your car, even though it cost $250, did not leave a gigantic oil stain in my driveway. I mean, there's one there from before that you found my place because of.
Yeah,
but
thanks for that,
Your
Adam.
car did not ruin.
By the way,
resale value.
Joss walked into this place and said, I didn't pay any attention to the numbers on the building when I came up here. I just noticed there's a giant oil stain in your driveway.
This must be the right place.
This must
the
be
one.
the right place. So thank you, Adam, for that, I suppose. And on that note, let's shut this down.
Yep.
Thanks again, Joss. Really
Thanks
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Catch us on all of our social media pages, 1010spodcast.com. We'll catch you guys next week. Are you pumped, Robbie?
I'm so
I always
pumped.
gotta get Robbie pumped
Fucking
up. 'cause
so pumped.
He's been super negative on the podcast.
That's not
lately.
true.
He doesn't.
There
he
is
doesn't
no
talk.
There is
You're
nobody
gonna
more
have to-
negative.
you're
More
gonna have
negative
to
than
talk
you.
today. You're gonna have to talk today.
I think most of the time the reason that you can't talk is because him and Adam are
That's
going
right.
off on one.
That's right. I'm glad I'm not the only
It's
one that
not-
sees that.
It's not like I didn't listen to it.
He clearly has listened.
yeah, very true. That might slightly be true.